Good morning, everyone. The story that I will tell to you is about the kingdom with no story. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a king who hated stories. He believed that writing and reading stories will not help his kingdom to prosper. And indeed, it was known that he ruled the wealthiest kingdom in the world.
Go.
He declared, "I shall not allow stories in my kingdom. It is a waste of time. Stories never feel our hunger. Whoever breaks this law shall be punished from dawn till night. He shall light the fire of the oven for 100 days and shall be banished from my kingdom forever."
Go.
People in his kingdom were afraid to tell stories. All they did was work to enrich the kingdom evermore. But there was a humble lady named Greenery who could not accept this rule in the kingdom. She was very unhappy. Deep in her heart, she felt the strong will to write stories. She slept late at night and secretly wrote her stories. While she is writing, she sang songs about stories. She kept all her stories inside her huge rag doll. She has soon a secret opening at the back. After writing a story, she kept it inside the doll secretly. One night, on a full moon, a crow happened to fly by. The crow said, "What are you saying about stories?" The curious crow peeped through the open glass window and saw Marie keeping her stories at the back of her rag doll. "Aha!" said the crow. "What is she keeping right about? There is nothing fishy going here." Suddenly, the voice of Marie's mother was heard. "Rain, rain! It's time for dinner!" Immediately, Marie ran and left. She was in a hurry. She forgot to close the back of her rag doll.
Go.
The crow immediately went inside the room and saw that many stories were kept at the back of the rag doll. It was neatly folded. The crow said, "This now I shall bring to the king. His majesty would know that a girl named Marie is breaking the law. Punishment she shall receive, and from the kingdom she shall be banished forever." The crow pulled the rag doll from the window and brought it to the king. The king was furious upon seeing all the stories. He immediately summoned Marie. Marie knelt as she saw the king's angry face. "Please forgive me, your majesty. All I want is to write stories for the children. All I want is to make them happy. Please understand," she pleaded. "No, I shall not," said the king with a loud voice. "I cannot forgive you for your disobedience. You wrote hundreds of stories. This is the law, and my word shall never be broken. At the break of dawn tomorrow, you shall start to light the oven from morning till night for the whole kingdom, so that you'll forget all your stories. You shall burn them every day. As you light the fire, you shall burn one paper, piece by piece, one by one for 100 days. After 100 days, you shall depart from my kingdom. I don't want to see your face again. You never contributed to help this kingdom flourish. And all you did was to write stories. You're not needed here."
Go.
Tears were bitterly flowing from Marie's eyes as the king spoke. Her heart grieved. At the break of the dawn, she started to gather firewood and started a fire. She took one piece of paper at the back of the rag doll, where her story was written. She lighted it and put the burning paper in the wood inside the oven, but her heart could not bear to see her stories burn. Slowly, she tenderly gathered the ashes inside the oven. She felt the heat and her hands were burned. But she told herself, "I shall bear the pain to keep the ashes of my story." She took a small earthen pot and kept the ashes of her stories there. And the last day of punishment came, the 100th day. The hands of Rain were swollen numb. All the time, she faithfully and courageously collected the ashes of her stories inside the oven. It so happened that the 7-year-old prince passed by the kitchen. He was surprised to see the hands of Rain Marie taking ashes inside the oven. "What are you doing, young lady? Are you out of your mind? Your hands will be burned." "Your Majesty," Rain Marie answered back softly, "I have to get the ashes of my stories." The prince wondered, "What ashes?" As he spoke, the prince saw one last piece of paper in the floor. He picked this up and started reading it. After reading, the prince eagerly asked, "Where's the continuation of this story, young lady?" Rain Marie started to weep as she covered her face with her hands. "It's all burned, your Majesty. It's all gone. I have kept all the ashes in this little pot." The little prince was deeply touched. He said, "It's all burned? The stories became ashes? It has to be that. I want to read them." She took the little pot and ran to the king. "Father, father, there was to be a way. Please return all the stories from these ashes. I want to know the continuation of each story. Please." The king could not disappoint the prince. He loved his son more than anything else in this world. He called all the sorcerers, magicians, and gurus in the kingdom, but they were not able to change the ashes into stories again. So Rain Marie took the ashes from the king and said, "Your Majesty, your will shall always be done. Today is the 100th day. Today I shall leave your kingdom. I shall say goodbye. Although I can hardly utter that word, I have to go away, for I could not turn my back on writing stories. God will always find a way for my stories to be remembered. I have faith today as much as the tomorrow that comes in my life. Though I will be gone, I know my stories will stay in the hearts of all the children in the world." Rain Marie walked slowly. The moment she was out of the palace, the moon and the stars glowed ever more that night. She looked up and prayed solemnly, "Dear God in heaven, I offer all my stories to you. I commit myself to you. Take my life in exchange of my story. Please give it back for all the children in this world." Surprisingly, the moonbeam struck her with a radiant glow. Her hands trembled with pain because of her burned hands as she emptied the ashes from the little pot. A strong swift of air took the ashes far away in the mountains, meadows, and hills. She looked up with her eyes staring at the bright stars. The moonbeam shone more than ever. She smiled, kneeled down, and bowed her head. Slowly, she vanished out. At the first light of the day, the people found that thousands of books were scattered all over the kingdom. There were many stories about the mountains, pirates, mermaids, fables, fairy tales, and old folk tales. From that day onwards, all the people were happy to read all the books, and the king learned to accept stories in his kingdom.